Towards the end of my time in seminary that I remember a gathering of those of us who came from different seminaries throughout the area. Some of us were from seminaries that are traditionally Episcopal, and some came from seminaries that were not, that were typically aligned with other denominations. Yet all of us in this gathering were Episcopalians. And I remember one person there who was just starting out on her journey in seminary. And this is when I was getting ready to finish my own journey. And I don't recall her name, so we'll call her Sue. Sue was a very capable, very amazing person. And it was a pleasure to get to know her. I remember one conversation with her when she talked about her desire to become a bishop. Now, Sue came from a seminary that was of a different denominational connection. And so her response, her comment here, was in stark contrast what I would have heard at our seminary, which was more traditionally Episcopalian. Because for us, if anyone dared to say to someone else, "Oh, you'd make a great bishop," the immediate response was always, "Don't say that," or words to that effect. Now, part of this response was because being in a traditional Episcopal seminary atmosphere, we were much more connected with the Episcopal discernment process. And so being perceived as seeking the episcopacy, seeking to become a bishop, would have been viewed with suspicion, because it would have been seen as seeking ordination not for the right reasons, seeking it for our own sake instead of God's sake. But the other reason we had such a visceral response to anybody trying to suggest that we might make a good bishop is for another reason that I think I like to believe is what really was going on in our thoughts, because it's a much better reason for many reasons. And this is because many of the examples around us in the seminary were, in fact, bishops. Our dean at the time was a retired diocesan bishop. Many times throughout my experience in seminary, we had the recently deceased former presiding bishop, Frank Griswold, who would come and help lead retreats and provide spiritual direction and the like to those who wanted to seek him for those things. We even had a local diocesan bishop who lived just across the street from us, who had family members that were teachers and involved in the seminary. With all these examples around us, we saw how hard it was to be a bishop. So Jesus wouldn't have responded to us with these words, "You know not what you are asking," because we weren't asking. We didn't want to ask. We saw how difficult being a bishop was, and we didn't want that for our ministry. Now, it's tempting to be like Zebedee's wife and seek great honor from God for ourselves or for those who we love. However, as Jesus points out, seeking such honors means making great sacrifices in our lives. Sometimes it even means making the same sacrifices that Jesus made. So we would be good to remember Jesus' warning for us here. We would be even better not to seek out roles for ourselves, but to let God seek us out instead. Now, as any leader in ministry, whether lay or ordained, can tell you, is that the work of these roles, while rewarding in that they serve God, are at the same time extremely difficult. Many, as I went through discernment, tried to warn me of this, and some even encouraged me to flee. And I don't know that I can say, in giving that same sort of advice, that I would be any different. Don't seek God in particular roles for the honor that those positions convey. Instead, serve God to serve God, and for no other reason than that.